I'm back! I know guys, there hasn't been a devlog for 2 months, but I need to explain what has happened. So I had exams for a whole week at the end of my first semester at university, so I had to do all of that. Then we had Christmas and New Year's, so I decided to take a little bit of a break, and generally speaking, throughout that time I haven't had time to work on the game, meaning I can't really make a devlog. However, as you can see from the title, some exciting stuff has happened, so let me go ahead and show you. So over this little break, I had a lot of time to think, and decided to make the decision of changing my current game from third person to first person. And before you guys call me out for being crazy, I owe you an explanation. To keep it brief, I just don't have the skills to make a good character model or animations. And for those wondering how this is related, well, essentially in a third person game, the player is always visible, meaning you can see the character model and animations the majority of the time. And that's cool and all, but if I want my game to genuinely be awesome and fun to play, I have to be somewhat good at modeling and animating, which I'm not. So I decided to make the wise choice of switching to first person. And for those with more questions, I've answered some common ones that I think will come up in the description below. But if yours isn't there, go ahead and ask it in the comment section down below. So it's now time for me to show you what I have done. I began by actually creating a new project to make it clean and organized, and set up all the boring source control stuff with GitHub. I then needed to work on the first person controller. This took a decent amount of time as I wanted it to be perfect. I decided to go with the character controller instead of a rigid body due to it being more precise. And also, my game isn't physics based, so I don't think it matters that much. After a lot of work, I managed to make a controller that feels actually really awesome. The movement is fun to play and a bit flowy, but not too over the top. There is also slight character bobbing when running, so I made a custom script for that. The player can of course do the basic stuff, such as running, sprinting, jumping, and crouching. After feeling confident with this, I decided to make some FPS arms, and although technically they aren't required, I feel like it's weird to have a player with no arms. This is because weapons would then float with no arms actually holding them. So I opened Blender and started modeling. After some time, I came up with these. And although I loved the way they looked, after rigging them up, they would animate in a really dodgy way and just wouldn't really work. So I started again, but this time made it a little bit more low poly, but still stylized, as that's what the graphics I'm trying to go with. I then rigged them in Blender once again, which was really straightforward to be honest, and imported them into Unity, resulting with this. I genuinely actually like them. The textures are yet to be finished though, so they will look better once that's done, but overall, it's what I wanted. I should also say I set up a little idle animation that makes them go up and down. This makes it look a little bit better so they're not just static. However, I will be probably changing them as I do have a better look in mind. It was now time to go on to the weapons. So for those wondering, in my game the character is going to have many abilities. However, the majority of his combat is going to be melee. But I do need a way to fight fights from long ranges, so I decided to make a pistol. So I started modeling a pistol in Blender. Essentially, as I said, this will help with long-ranged fights. I ended up creating a really nice model in my opinion, probably the best one I've ever done, and I'm super happy about it. I then created some basic textures in Photoshop and imported this all into Unity. After setting it up, applying materials and whatnot, I have a current pistol in the game. This is what it looks like right now, and as I said, I'm super happy with the way it looks. But the metal/gun texture isn't finished yet, so that part of the gun looks a bit bland, but don't worry, I'll have that done for the next episode. It was now time to actually make shooting a thing in my game. So I made some animations for the pistol, and here they are. It's just some common animations, such as equipping the pistol, unequipping it, reloading, and even firing the gun. They were pretty simple to make, however took a lot of time to get right. I then created the actual logic for the pistol itself. Now because I have quite a bit of experience with using raycasts, I decided to use them for the gun itself. Essentially, I'm going to be projecting a raycast from the middle of the camera straight forward, which will match up with the crosshair. This means wherever the crosshair points, that's where the raycast will project, and essentially that's just what we've got to hit. And because I don't want to have any recoil at the moment in my game, this is going to be pretty straightforward to do. I'll link some tutorials about raycasts down below for anyone wondering how to use them. There's some really good ones made by Brackeys. After creating the logic, which was probably the actual quickest thing to do, I needed to make some particles and sounds. In terms of sounds, I just went ahead and made them in Audacity. However, The fire sound for the gun I went ahead and actually stole from the game Valorant, but don't worry, I'll be making my own one, I just didn't really have time for it, so I had to place this as a placeholder. As for the particles, I decided to create a little muzzle particle for when the gun shoots. This essentially just demonstrates to the player that you have shot the gun. I also created an effect that will appear on the wall wherever you shoot with the raycast. It's just a simple bullet hole and some smoke to show where you shot. The bullet holes themselves will appear on any surface that you shoot at, and they will disappear after 10 seconds to make the game not lag as much, and then they get destroyed, of course. This is just a mechanic so the game doesn't lag. But anyway guys, let me demonstrate to you what I have done with this pistol. I did a few final tweaks here and there and then created some materials for the ground and walls. The game will also have a variety of different materials, but these are just some basic ones I made. I also started working on an interactable object script, but it's not done yet. So currently in the background I'll be playing my game while I explain a few things. Firstly, I want to say that these devlogs might come out every 2 weeks or sometimes every week, depending on how much progress I manage to make. And if that is the case, they will come out every Saturday, as that's my schedule now. I'll be streaming the progress of me developing this game every Sunday on Twitch, link down below. I hope to do this more often as I find more time. Now, in terms of the game and some specifics, I want to actually clarify what the game is going to be. In the past, I had a rough idea, but it wasn't really formulated well. So, this game is going to be an adventure story game with, of course, combat. While playing the game, you will follow the story of the main protagonist who has special abilities, and discovers his past. This is because he's been trapped in a facility all his life. In terms of other story-specific aspects, I don't want to reveal too many, however I'll keep you updated on that. The player's loadout is going to be simple. He's going to have his abilities, which I'm still working on, and once I finish them, I will announce them. He will have a knife, a pistol, and maybe a sword, depending if I like it or not. The graphics of the game will resemble Valorant, because I really like the stylized look of the game and I want to make something similar. Of course it's going to be different in its own ways, but as a general guideline that's what I want to follow. Some elements will also be similar to a game called Second Son, in particular the flowy but precise movement. By no means is it going to be physics based, but you will still be able to navigate through the map really quickly. And for the abilities, I want to take inspiration from Avatar: The Last Airbender. The game is also going to have sounds and voice lines, as it's a story adventure game. Some people have also asked me whether bosses will be in the game, and of course they will. I also want to be more productive with the game than I was last time, so I'm particularly making sure to organize things and stay on track. I hopefully want to get this game finished this year, and that's the goal, but I guess time will tell. Also, as a disclaimer, because I know there will be some children in the comments section, this game is not going to be like Carlson, which is a game developed by Danny. Whenever I have created an FPS game, which has happened to be a few times, for example my GMTK submission, for some reason people decide to call me out for copying Danny. I want to clarify a few things. My game is not going to be the same as Danny's. The main similarity is that they're both first person, but that's about it. Which for those unaware is a very large genre of games. My game is going to be an adventure story game, which of course has combat involved, but it's more focused on exploration and adventure and the story itself. Whereas from what I can tell, Danny's game is a fast-paced parkour game. His game resembles Portal, Ghost, and a few other games like that, whereas mine is more like Second Son. So of course there will be some similarities between them, but they are going to be genuinely completely different, and when playing them you will get a completely different experience. Anyway guys, sorry for the short devlog this week. I hope you have enjoyed the video nonetheless, and if you have, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to stay tuned. All my social media will be linked down below, and I also have a Discord server for anyone who wants to join an awesome community. Finally, thank you to all my Patreons, I really appreciate your support. I will see you guys next week. Bye!